Thanks for joining us live with Miami's Community News. Our guest today is Ray Baker, the director of the Miami-Dade County Public Library System.
You got it right. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And we're going to be talking, folks, we're going to be talking about libraries today and the things that you don't know that are there that are open to everybody in Miami-Dade County. So let's talk a little bit about you for a moment, Ray. So tell us some of your history and how you wound up working with the library.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I've been with Miami-Dade County now for 28 and a half years. My path to being library director probably wouldn't make much sense if you looked at it. I started off my career in Miami-Dade County working for Durham right out of college, and spent about 8 or 9 years there. I've worked in the county's budget office. I've worked in the office of the county manager, but I joined Miami-Dade Public Library in around 2015 as an assistant director. And while I was there, I went back to get my second master's degree in library science, and I became director, shortly thereafter, about 5 years ago. And it's been a wonderful department in the county with a big public service impact.
One of the things that I really admire is adults that go back to school.
Yeah,
and they're really driven on their own accord, not driven by, gee, my mom wanted me to do it, or my dad wanted me to do it, or some youngster along the way. So my congratulations to you on doing that. So you got this position in 2015?
2015, I became director. Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, 2017, I became director. I was assistant director in 2015.
Let's talk, if we could, about a couple of years ago. It seemed like a lot of the libraries might have been closed, certainly reduced hours. But the people in Miami-Dade County stood up to that commission and said, you need to find the money because this is an important thing for us. It was really a moment in history.
Absolutely. I mean, the Save the Libraries effort that was occurring at that time, made a huge difference. The budget challenges that were happening in the county were having pain on a lot of different county departments. And you said it correctly. There was discussions about closing 22 libraries at that time. But the Save Our Libraries movement really got people's attention. And from where we were in 2014, when this was all happening, to where we are today, I think is just credited to that movement.
So you said they were thinking about closing 22 libraries.
Yeah.
How many are in the system now?
So we have 49 libraries in the system, and 2 bookmobiles and a technobus. So we have mobile services as well as physical locations, and our online locations as well.
Yes, a lot of those.
Yeah,
all right.
we can talk more about that.
So let's talk about the 50th anniversary for the library. That is significant in a county that is so young. All right. When we compare us, to other states, almost the states around the country. We have some pictures, Andres, if you could put them up. There was some recognition by the Miami-Dade County Commission. When was this, yesterday or the day before?
Yes, this was yesterday in the County Commission chambers. They recognized us for our 50th anniversary of Miami-Dade Public Library becoming an official department of Miami-Dade County. That was November 1st, 1971. And this was a result of the county merging with the city's libraries, which were their own library system at that time. And this was a growing county, starting to grow out west, growing outside the center of Miami and out into, beyond 27th Avenue, if you would even consider that, far west at the time. And they wanted to have a kind of a solidified countywide system throughout the county.
When people walk into libraries, there is a different feel for it, all right? When you walk in the sense of this is sort of sacred ground, all right? Of the knowledge and the sharing that's on. Obviously, there's a lot that is online, but when you walk in, you feel the difference. It messes with your head that all the hundreds and thousands and many hundreds of thousands of hours have gone into not just writing those books, but into sharing them. We know there's a couple new programs that the mayor has initiated. Right? Tell us about some of those.
Sure. So, since the mayor joined us last year, she has been going full speed ahead on some very important initiatives like the Thrive 305, which has been her civic engagement plan to really lay out kind of some strategic priorities for us as county departments and nonprofits throughout the county and our residents to really experience the county in a different way, maybe than they were in the past.
How the name of the Thrive 305? How do you demonstrate that when people see that?
Well, I think the mayor envisions a thriving Miami-Dade County and centered around 4 E's: equity, economy, environment, and engagement. And I know you've talked to the mayor many times, and she engages with people at a level that I think none of us can really keep up with. She is out there everywhere and getting feedback from the public.
I just got to give my hats off to her and to the whole administration. The difference that we see in the last 5 years, the last 10 years, is this much higher level of transparency and about engagement and about caring. She comes from a background of caring, and you see that in almost every word that she speaks, all right? And she comes from a social work, I think I got it right, background, and she does care. And one of the things that we know as consumers of products of Miami-Dade County is when we go to a county facility and we don't know what we're talking about because we just don't know, it gets embarrassing, it gets humiliating. And if the staff there doesn't take care of us, then we get angry.
Yes.
So what is the library doing so when people walk in so that you feel at home?
Well, first of all, I think we talked about two initiatives, Thrive 305 and No Wrong Door. And I think libraries have probably been doing No Wrong Door for many, many years before we started coining that in the county as a term. And because we're just really customer focused, and our employees are there to try to connect you to other services, departments, programs. And they go a long way towards not just saying, oh, sorry, that's not my department. You need to go call the transit department. We really try to get people where they need to be so they can get the service that they need.
I've heard other departments refer to us, the taxpayers, as customers. I never heard that before, and I'm going, oh yeah, we're just not this, excuse me for being here today.
Yes.
All right. So, and people, when they walk in, and it's whether it's virtual or not, all right, we sometimes get lost. And I'm pretty good getting my way around on the internet. But I can't tell you how many times I just want to throw my phone, against the wall because I get frustrated. I go to the county site a couple times a month, and I find it's very navigatable, if that's a word, all right? And it's easy to move through it. But if somebody goes online and they get frustrated and they don't know what to do, what do you suggest that the next step could be?
The mayor has set up a constituent response management team, and I think probably a lot of us have in the past sent emails somewhere and not gotten a response. And like you mentioned, frustrating that is. But you can contact departments now and you're going to get a response. And I think their goal is, 24 to 48 hours to make sure that people get a response and get directed where they need to go. And, as a fallback, if you ever need to, you can always email the library at customercare@mdpls.org. And we are extraordinarily customer focused. We have that operating 7 days a week. Even when our libraries are closed, we have people responding 7 days a week, not 24 hours a day, but 7 days a week. And, we'll try to help get them wherever they need to be.
So Ray, in the old days, people would physically go to the library and they would go to the area that they wanted. They would go through, pick out a book, or ask the person at the desk, hey, where's, biology or medicine or whatever it happens to be. So when people go online, what are some of the things they can access faster than if they walked into the library?
Well, within the library, there's all kinds of different things ranging from the New York Times, if they want to get instant access to the New York Times or Consumer Reports or the Wall Street Journal. And not only the faster part of it, but the money saving part of it, to me, is very compelling.
I could go there and read the New York Times.
You can sign up for the subscription with your library card to the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. You can download both onto an app onto your phone, and you have instant access, and you get rid of those pesky paywalls that you often encounter when you want to read interesting articles.
It's the worst. All right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like it's a trap, in the sense you're going to get in and it's hard to get out. But it's nice to see the library has come a long way with that. Now, we know that some of your libraries you can pull up to a designated spot and you get Wi-Fi right there.
Yeah, that was something that came about during COVID-19. We had a couple of weeks where, at the height of the pandemic, everyone had kind of closed their doors throughout different county departments and private, public sector. And we came up with the idea that we knew at some of our locations that the Wi-Fi did reach into the parking lot. So we worked with our IT department to put some additional antennas out there. And we started putting signs around different parking spaces to where it identified it as a Wi-Fi enabled parking space. So we have reports from people all the time saying, hey, I needed to do my homework, or I needed to get a connection.
I'm at the library, sweetheart. Sure you are. I really am. Yeah. So that's really neat when people of my age see that, and we realize that it takes that next step to do that. It's delightful to say, we can be there and have that access. I frequently sit in my driveway,
Yeah.
in my house, and so I can be alone and be able to do that. I might add, by the way, I have on our 2 cars, we have access to this phone. I'm in the parking lot at a restaurant. I'm 20 cars away.
Hmm.
And my phone calls is being heard by my kids in the other room. So be careful what you say, because somebody's always listening. So what are some of the programs that the library offers to the residents of Miami-Dade County?
But one of the things we recently launched, and it also was something we've been wanting to do for a while, but COVID-19 really pushed us to the next level on that, was home delivery. So if you are not able to make it to a library or simply just don't have time, just like Amazon, you can go on with your library card and order materials that you want from our catalog and have them delivered directly to your home. And
Amazing.
So, yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's startling. And when,
Yeah.
it's been almost 2 years since COVID. I can tell you how many people here just order the food and it gets brought in all day long. The guys, they're dropping off the food. That would have almost been unheard of, 2.5 years ago. It would be an occasion for that to happen. So somebody can order, they go to have the library card, go there, pick out some books, and it'd be delivered.
Yes.
How long does it take for delivery, more or less?
If we have the item in stock, 2 to 3 days, just whatever it takes for media mail to send it to your house.
That is amazing.
It's going through the post office.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, frequently there are some of their other type of community meetings that I've seen that are going on some of the libraries. Can you discuss what some of those meetings might have been?
Well, we have all kinds of meetings.
Yeah.
We host other government agencies, whether it's county, state, local municipalities that need to do a selection committee meeting, or they want to have something on digital literacy or financial literacy. So our auditoriums and many of our locations are used by just about the entire community, from nonprofits to you name it. We get requests to use our space.
And frequently those spots are also used for voting, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
That's how I'm most familiar with the one on Carway and our local representative out there. Greetings, sir. And so what is the future of library? Is it library science or libraries? What's the next 5 years look like?
Well, I think it continues to point towards, we're not just about books. I mean, I think, some of the things we've talked about are clear that, we play a big role in technology and digital connectivity. Not only the Wi-Fi program that we just talked about with the parking lots around the libraries, but we're also lending tablets to people who may not have access to a computer, and those are being equipped with a wireless plan. So I think libraries will continue to play a big role in connecting people to technology, exposing people to new technologies. We're also doing a lot of work in the social worker area. We hired our first full-time social worker about 3 months ago.
And their job is to do what?
Their job is to work with patrons at some of our branches who are in need of assistance for whatever reason.
Oh, no kidding.
Looking to connect them to services, whether they're trying to get a social security card, whether they need mental health services, whether they're trying to find housing. So we have certain branches where we may have a higher population.
Like a face-to-face 311.
Yes, they're walking in and working with the social worker right there on site.
That really is tremendous, and I'm not sure whose idea it was or that it matters, but that it's accessible. And one of the things we've seen is the need for mental health care in the last year and a half has been tremendous. And now that we're essentially out of it physically, but emotionally we know we're not, because we're always, if I said Hurricane Andrew to you and you were here, you would be there in like 3 seconds. So somebody could go to the library, and some of them, which libraries would they, will that start off at?
So we have started at the main library downtown.
Okay.
That is, where we have the largest population of people experiencing homelessness in that area, and where we really had the greatest need. But we're going to be working on expanding that to the other locations.
So the old days of just going and getting a book off the shelf, that's just part of this gigantic system that's now there.
Look, I think it's always going to be an important part. I mean, I think a lot of people have a nostalgic feel about what libraries are, and I think that's a good feeling to have, an important one.
Yes.
And we'll always have books on the shelf, and we'll also have online access to ebooks and the audiobooks. But some people just have different needs for the library. Yeah.
So when we think of a library type thing, and if you think of a bookstore, You walk in and forget how people are accessing. They go to a bookstore and they can look at all the books and the magazines there. There are plenty of movies. I'm watching one now where the guy's he works in a bookstore, a librarian of sorts, and so he goes around and shows the people the books. And there certainly is a feel for it when you walk in. And you, at least for me, just very impressed with the breadth of work that is being done there. So let's again talk a little bit more about the Thrive 305. So. Where is the county in that process? And again, the things that people can, the services that people can access.
Sure. Well, the mayor just officially launched the plan last Thursday, I believe it was, and the community services portfolio, which the library and community action and human services and other departments are part of, are really probably going to be the first test area for some of the initiatives under that. And I think a big part of it is expanding the breadth of our services throughout the county and departments working together and making sure that people are connected to those services. And I think because of the number of facilities that a library has and because of the breadth of knowledge and experience our employees have, the libraries are going to be a big part of that as we move forward in implementing it.
Many years ago, I had some work. I was trying to get some permits. I walk with my plans. I go to a particular department. It must have been 35 years ago. And I said, I need whatever. He says, you don't have it with you. I said, how do you know I don't have it with you? Because I've been doing this for 25 years. I know you don't have it with you. And I'm at that point, I'm angry. All right. And I said to him, I'm thinking one of the books, said, just be calm. I said, well, then since you know I really need your help, what do I need to do? But I was on the verge of going the other way of screaming, you don't even know what I have. So I know the county's gotten a lot softer with that and more caring. And I think that under the past couple of leaderships of the county, it's gotten friendlier. And I see that. And we've been fortunate to talk with probably 50 people that work for the county. It's not like it's us and them. I used to think it was. It isn't. All right. It's this togetherness, all right, that I see all the time. So my hat's off to you and to the county for making that work. Let's talk about the age groups that typically walk in to pick whatever library you want. What does that person look like?
It ranges from the youngest of the young to the oldest of the older. And it's interesting, we look at different ways people are accessing the library. The physical items that are being checked out of an actual branch, those tend to be around 60% children's items. So it's either a parent coming in to get children's items or the kids themselves coming in. But when we look at people who are using our online ebook and e-audiobook platforms, that tends to be, people our age and up that are accessing these ebook kind of like they would on their Kindle.
Yes.
So it ranges that from just about everyone. Yeah.
I have not seen the ads for the library, but I'm envisioning, parents with their kids and say, it's good. And maybe even the grandparents in that promotions to allow us to think there's a pathway for that. And we know there's a library over here in South Miami on Sunset Drive, very cordial. It's next to City Hall, very friendly, and it's not intimidating. And you go in and people are very friendly. Let's talk about the tutoring programs that the library offers.
Yeah, so about 3 years ago, we started the homework help and tutoring program. The idea being that private tutoring is often out of reach for many of our residents. And we had a lot of parents asking us about the possibility of providing tutoring in the libraries. Occasionally, we do have private tutors who come into the libraries to tutor, but we wanted to really create our own program. And we created a position called library tutor and hired a bunch of people with teaching certification. These are state of Florida certified teachers. Many of them are currently working for the school system, but they work for us part-time, and they provide, prior to the pandemic, we were doing this all in person. When the pandemic happened, we shifted to an online model, and we've been doing online Zoom tutoring with K through 12 students a couple times a week.
That's great. By the way, we part of our facilities here on Sundays, we lend to one of the local schools. They bring a tutor, and they have 20 kids that are here. They're all about this big and running around, picking up the chairs. It's real thrilled to be able to be part of that. So what do you think, what's going to happen with people on Zoom in the next year, 2 or 3? You think there's going to be a group that say, that was wonderful while it lasted, but I want to go, I want to sit next to the teacher, I want to be there, and I would rather be there, and then there'll be some on the other end. But what does it look like to you into the system?
Yeah, so we are probably going to shift partially back to in person, but we know a lot of the tutors themselves enjoy having the online option, and a lot of the students themselves may not be able to get to a library. So I think continuing to have an online option or a hybrid option of this program going forward is going to be the way we go.
Lots of us don't remember, but when the late night shows, when you watch them, there's a small audience that's there. The bigger audience is out there, which is live audience, and then it gets distributed. And so certainly that option is something that I think people want.
Yeah.
As you know, we do lots of luncheons, and we invite people to be our speakers. The thirst for people to get together has never been greater. It is just unbelievable. The people were tired of whatever system they were using to communicate. But yet we also know if you want to reach people from around the world, you can do that in an instant.
Mm-hmm.
And so my hat's off to maintaining that option. I was at some funerals. They said, well, and the funeral homes have been doing it for years, I guess, this is the local audience. And grandpa and grandma from wherever, they can all touch in with that. When you look at the children, today's children, and are they a whole lot more connected than what you thought, or do you think that it's just about average?
Connected to the internet, you mean?
Yes, I mean, and connected and how they can reach other people.
Well, I think a lot of, especially in the 12 and above age, we have some special spaces in our libraries called U-Media and U-Make, which are designed as kind of digital spaces that are mentor-led. And what we find is that children of that age they like to be directed, but they also like to be independent. So we tend to find that they work best in a mentor type environment where we have library mentors who are working with them and saying, hey, build this Lego set, or, work on this photography class, and I'm going to show you how to do it, or work on our 3D printer. So we find that, they want to stay connected, they want to be independent, but they do want direction, and we try to provide that to them in the form of these mentors.
So when my son, who's now, well, anyway, he's over 35, when he was a kid, he wouldn't go out and play. It was always on the computer. One day I just completely freaked out, and I just swung everything and wound up on the floor. Who knew that he'd be making his living last 15 years on a computer, right? So we never know how that's gonna turn out. One of the things that people my age have recognized is folks that spend a lot of time on the computers interact a little differently in person, and we see that as our staff was working from home. When they came back, it was sort of like, is it safe to come in? It wasn't just because of COVID. It was the personality. How do you react to people? And what about that water cooler conversation, which didn't exist? Now, when we have that conversation, I welcome it rather than no, go back to your desk. So I think there's going to be a lot of that where there's going to be a resurgence. We hope that people go to the library, whether it's online or in person. So what are some of the things that you would like to share with us about the future of libraries and about the future of Miami-Dade County?
Well, as it relates to the libraries, we're doing a lot of work on our facilities. Really important to us is making sure that all of our spaces are updated, modernized, and we have some new library projects that we're working on as well. So we really want our residents to be proud of these locations when they come into them. 49 locations is a lot of locations to keep up with, but we're making some good headway into keeping them modernized and looking good.
So you have from Aventura out west to Hialeah, Miami Springs. We want to include Hialeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. All right, all the way down to Homestead.
All the way down to Naranja, yes.
Naranja. That's really a lot of coverage, and it's nice and cool in the libraries. So if somebody's really hot, they can walk in and spend some time there. Tell us about is it audiobooks? Is that the term? Do I have that right?
Yeah, well, you have e-audio books, and we have various platforms. One's called Libby or Overdrive, another called Hoopla. That this is part of the many at-home services you can do at the library, where you put an app on your phone, you use your library card, and the same e-audio or ebooks that you get off of Amazon or some other provider of ebooks, you're getting from the library for free. And I think a lot of people often miss the value aspect of the library and how much money you can save from the various subscriptions that we talked about.
Yes. And what, unfortunately or unfortunately, once you get in the habit of buying stuff over here, it's hard to change that. What about music? Can people access music?
Yeah, we have a site called Freegal, which is a place where you can stream or download music. You have a certain number of downloads you can do every month and keep the song in perpetuity, or you can stream, whatever you're interested in streaming on there.
That's amazing. I know that somewhere in your archives you have some recent videos about the services available, maybe even walking through a library and showing this is the department over here and over there. It would make a great thing for us to help participate in that and to help distribute. We'd like to do that. So what about the people that don't speak much English? Does that, I don't know that still happens in Miami-Dade County in the sense that a lot of people do. How do you take care of people in the 3 or 4 different languages that are spoken there?
Sure. So it's really interesting. We talk about how big this county is, and you sometimes you find out about the different pockets of different languages people speak. Like in Sunny Isles, for instance, there's a large Russian population there, and that's a branch where not only do we need to provide a partial collection of Russian materials, but also programming and events surrounded around that population. And, it's really based on a branch by branch basis. We know that certain areas are going to lean more heavily towards wanting Spanish materials or Creole, such as we do in the Little River and those areas. So we really base it on, the folks that are coming into the branch or calling us and who are letting us know, hey, I need more in this language.
So folks, friends in Sunny Isles, they can go to the library and they can feel almost at home.
We try.
Yeah,
we try.
And that's extraordinary that you've adapted, to that and recognizing that, and there are plenty of pockets throughout Miami-Dade County. You can name the 10 or 12 that are there.
Mm-hmm.
And we all move to the neighborhoods that we want, with the neighborhoods that we're comfortable with. And if you have enough money, you go to the private school that you want to, you go to the restaurant that you want to. And so they go to the library that they want to. If the one down the street is not the right one, they can certainly pick another one. And we've got a couple minutes left. Being that you've been with the county for a long, long time, how many years altogether?
I'm getting close to 29.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. There's a young man or a young woman that is out there, all right? They're 18, 19, 20 years old. They're maybe in their second year of college. They're wondering about their life, as we all have for so many years, about a direction. I'd like you to encourage them and say, and bring up certainly about the pandemic being over or almost over, and say some nice words to them. And which camera should he look into, Andres? This one right there.
The front one.
Yep.
So about working for Miami-Dade County potentially.
If that's what it is, fine.
Yeah, look, I think for any young people out there, maybe government isn't first on their list when they're thinking about what they're going to do in the future. But there are so many different types of careers that you can have with Miami-Dade County. And you don't have to be in that career the entire time you're here. You could be a fireman, policeman, transit. You can be an accountant. We have lawyers. We have all types of different professions that are available. And like I said, you can get 10 years into your career, decide you want to do something else. And there's 23 other departments with all kinds of different professional areas that you can really build a wonderful and thriving career for the future.
Right. Hey, Baker.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Ray's the director of the Miami-Dade County Public Library System. Thank you for what you do for all of us, and thank you over there. And Andres, thank you for your help. Folks, again, this is Live with Miami's Community News, and if I don't see you again, happy Thanksgiving. See you.
Happy Thanksgiving.